Ultra niche. Yeah, it's become a thing, the ultra niche thing. Let's talk about it.
Here's some codes to save you some cash on your next Middle Eastern niche or designer fragrances.
What's going on, guys? My name is Neeb. Welcome back to AROMATIX. Today we're going to be talking about a pretty exciting video. It's a new discovery, and you know, new discoveries are not even something that's that exciting anymore. We are getting a lot of fragrances that are new, but a little bit more than just a new discovery for this one that makes it more exciting. It comes from a house that's known for quality of ingredients, or a sister company. This is a brand new company that stemmed off of a very well-known brand, and we'll get into all of that. That's mainly the reason why I gave it a shot. In a world of so many fragrances, selection is everything as well. So I'm very selective with certain brands, etc. More so than just selection, I'm swamped. While discovering the gems and all that stuff, also discovering new brands is a whole nother story, and it gets pretty hectic. So I'm blessed and honored to have that opportunity. Oh, look at him complaining. No, I'm blessed and I'm honored to have tried these fragrances at least once in a lifetime, because these are just absolute freaking quality stuff. Warning, this is for those who are oud connoisseurs. So ultra niche, as stated in the title, or as stated in the beginning of the video, is what people are referring to mostly on TikTok and the younger crowd. They're saying that it's like ultra niche. It usually just means more polarizing fragrances. But I also believe that it's ultra niche for another factor, for the fact that these are handcrafted and hand placed and put together by the owner himself. Okay, so technically it's kind of like indie niche style. For the most part, for me personally, with indie niche, man, that is ultra niche stuff. These are fragrances that have oud that were distilled in-house. These are fragrances that have many, it's like 90 to 95% is what the owner told me of the ingredients are actually distilled in-house, which sounds insane. But if you get your nose on some of these, you can absolutely sense the quality of this. This fragrance house gets most of its ingredients from the direct source, from India, some spices from Thailand, like the Thailand oud, a lot of coffee notes, etc. And this is just, let's just go ahead and get started, man. This is the fragrance house we're gonna be talking about today. It's called Maksim Perfumes. An important detail I forgot to mention is the fact that the company that this is sister to is Bortnikov. So the same quality stuff that's in a lot of Bortnikov fragrances are in Maksim Perfumes. These are the tubs that it comes in terms of the style of presentation. Let's go ahead and look at all of the presentations for these bottles, which I think is extremely elegant stuff. These are 30 mLs, 1 ounce fragrances, and they have mostly natural ingredients. The ambergris used in these fragrances are naturals, and so you'll see that with the color of the juice, these are actually reflective of the natural ingredients. So a lot of these will have some oud, it will have some musk, it'll have some ambergris, maybe even some, you know, earthy nuances, etc. Cardamom spice. The bottles themselves, I think, are pretty elegant looking. They are relatively small, but you're getting a lot of quality, okay? These aren't something that you're gonna just wear every single day and just look for compliments. No, these are for people who are actually into perfumery, fragrance, etc. These are special occasion fragrances that I would still wear, but they also have performance. We'll talk about the performance when we get there and whether or not it's worth it. The front of all of these have a plaque that has the name of the perfume. Maksim Perfumes is also raised off of this plaque. High quality glass, high quality cap, the magnetic, it's amazing. And the atomizer on these is actually pretty good. I want to spray this on, but it's really going to fill this entire room. Another aspect to the presentation, these actually come in another white box, and inside that white box, you're gonna get a pamphlet or a card that describes each one of the fragrances. And on the back of the card as well, you'll have all of the notes with the pictures of this. So the first one we're gonna start off with is Musk Couture. And it says, a journey of scents crafted from the rarest ingredients across the globe. Each note is a testament to our quest for perfection. And that is a truth that you'll be able to smell immediately when you smell the fragrance. But this is exactly what it says it is. Notes of this fragrance at the top, we've got lychee, we've got herbal green and Roman chamomile. We've also got raspberry. In the mid, there's ylang ylang, there's gaiac wood, nagarmota, there's tobacco, and in the base, we've got vanilla, Indian oud, Siberian moss, oak moss, cedarwood, and benzoin. So yeah, man, this is some serious stuff. And for the most part, this is a musk and amber centric fragrance, mostly coming from that benzoin, a little bit vanillic, and at the top of the fragrance, you also get those slightly fruit nuance. The fruits are not anything that, it's not a fruity fragrance by any means, but it does help in the opening with a little bit of appeal, but that's not what it's going to be from the beginning. This is a through and through authentic smelling musk fragrance, and it stains the white almost immediately. So be careful when you're wearing something like this. this, especially on white clothing. I would not spray it. So long story short, what you're gonna get with this fragrance is a super high quality, authentic smelling musk Indian oud. It does have this ambery funk to it as well that's supported by benzoin and a lot of those earthy nuances like tobacco, etc. The lychee, the strawberry, if you're looking for something, or the raspberry, I should say, if you're looking for something fruity, this isn't it. If you're looking for something that's earthy and musky, this is exactly it. If you like Indian oud, you're gonna like this one. I personally would have loved to see the Indian oud come up a little bit more, but it's still pretty damn concentrated. Musk Couture, Indian oud, and musk. It's ambery, it's darker, it's more resinous. We're talking about the Indian oud and the fragrance in its totality. A beautiful fragrance that I think does not, you can't put a rating on fragrances like this. You truly can't, because everybody is going to appreciate this style of fragrance differently. For me, I freaking love this stuff. Would I wear it for very special occasions? I'd wear it for like a, you know, a Beladi wedding, man, like a straight up wedding that's like back in Yemen or something, even here, honestly. Just a straight up authentic smelling oud and musk fragrance. Beautiful stuff. The quality is through the freaking roof, but you have been warned, it is animalic. So that was Musk Couture. Beautiful fragrance. Next one we're gonna be talking about is called Amber Balsam. And Amber Balsam says that it's a journey of scents crafted from the rarest ingredients across the globe. Each note is a testament. Oh, okay, so it's, yeah, they're the same statements on all of the cards. The top notes for Amber Balsam is going to be bergamot, cardamom, clove leaf. I love cloves, but this is actually clove leaf. So Indonesian spice, adding fiery warmth. They have a little description behind or beneath each of those notes. And then in the heart, we've got ruchos, which is vetiver. It's earthy and rich, and it can serve as a bridge between the heart and the base notes, adding depth and grounding the fragrance. Yes, excellent. Green tea, and we've got ylang ylang, some Gorgon balsam, and some cinnamon. Also in the base, we've got oud siam, which is the revered woods of Thailand, fit for royalty. Thailand oud is actually pretty high quality smelling oud. For me, my personal favorite would be Indian, but Thailand definitely has a high quality nature to it. It's also one of the most prized. Peru balsam is a vanilla infused aroma. Yes, from El Salvador. We've got Tolu balsam, we've got Irish amber, the Copaiba balsam, which is the Amazon's ancient remedy for grounding and pure. That's awesome. And labdanum. I mean, look at this. This is giving you a crap ton of information. Each note in amber balsam is a stamp of distinction, blending the world's most exquisite scents in a symphony of olfactory experience. I mean, the man puts this shit together himself. You can literally watch them put them in, like, from the tinctures into their, like, the little mixtures and all that stuff, okay? These are handcrafted, hand-felt, heartfelt fragrances. I actually did a little interview with the owner himself as well, and the guy knows his stuff, but what he knows also is Eastern stuff. We're talking oud, we're talking about some of the rarest ingredients. That's what this house specializes in. It's not in mass appeal and stuff. No, it's in quality, it's in top dollar stuff. We're talking ambergris, we're talking natural musks, we're talking natural ouds, which there's a plethora of different kinds, and my man knows exactly what he's doing in terms of the different kinds, the different accords, etc., and you can absolutely smell them in these. So yeah, man, these are beautiful stuff. Aside from what they are, aside from the notes and all that stuff, the quality of this, if I didn't emphasize it enough, I'm emphasizing it again. Yeah, it's really good. Another one, we can take a look at the atomizer. It's pressurized. This one isn't gonna stain as much, but it still definitely has a little bit of a yellow tinge. So Amber Balsam also opens up relatively animalic, but it does have a slight aromatic nature to it as well as grassy green. So the clove leaf, the green tea, the vetiver, and mostly what I get is gonna be this combination of the clove leaf along with the vetiver. The tea is slightly animalic, or the tea, I should say, is slightly aromatic, but the animalic nature of the fragrance does overcome a lot of those other accords. So what I'm left with is grassy green and animalic. And the animalic nature of the fragrance is coming not just from the oud, but I'm also getting a very concentrated and waxy, ambery style of like Peru balsam. If I had to distinguish which of those balsams I'm getting, most of it's gonna be exactly that. There's that Gorgon balsam as well, so it's really is a balsamic fragrance. The balsamic nature of this fragrance means that it's gonna go slightly more acidic. The ylang ylang does also kind of make it go in the more sour territory of things. It's still a beautiful fragrance, but it does play a huge role. The whole balsam, the slightly acidic vibe to the fragrance, along with the animalic nature. So through and through, it's ambery, but I find this one to be a lot more animalic than something of Musk Couture. And it could be because of the fact that it's not just the Peru balsam, it's also the oud, and you have a pretty concentrated dose of ylang ylang. This is something beautiful that I would personally wear also to something like a wedding. I'd imagine the way that this one's gonna smell in the air is gonna be much better than something you would smell up close. This isn't one that you wanna smell up close, but rather in the air, it's going to be absolutely beautiful. Reminds me of other ylang ylang and maybe some floral style ambery oud fragrances, but done to the maximum quality, and that's exactly what these are. These are ingredients that are coming from tinctures, distilleries, and handcrafted and hand placed into into each one of these bottles, yeah, it doesn't get much better than this in terms of quality. Sure, you can get something that has a little bit more oud and it'll cost you like upwards of $400 for maybe the same size of this. And considering the facts, the 30 ml for what you're paying, I'm not gonna say it's like cheap, obviously. $225 or $250 for this is for most people pretty expensive, but for what you're getting, and just in terms of what I can personally smell, it's right on par, if not a little bit lower priced than most that you'll find in the market. Could it be because of the fact that it's new? Very likely. I don't want to say that this will go up in price, but mark my words, quality like this, in terms of what I've smelled in my lifetime and my experience with oud, is generally speaking anywhere from $300+, okay? So it's definitely expensive. I'm not saying that it's not expensive, but you get what you pay for in life, and sometimes there aren't shortcuts to just straight up quality. And when we're talking this type of quality, there isn't a shortcut to it. Authentic oud, there isn't a shortcut. Authentic ambergris, there isn't a shortcut to it. So that's what this one is as well. Moving on to the last one. This one for me is my favorite. Although the dent isn't that big, it is pretty big for what this fragrance does. I'm gonna summarize the performance of all of these. We're gonna get there. It's nuclear shit. Period. Okay? It's nuclear shit, all of them, all right? Seriously. 1 to 2 sprays and you're filling a room. 2 sprays. I would personally say 2 to 4 sprays on these and you're set. For me personally, I would go 6, 7, 8, but you know, dollars. That's what I see these as, man. But worth every freaking penny. This one is called Café Mystique. And my God, if I were to make a coffee fragrance, this is something of my style. Like, but warning, this might be a little bit more animalic than I would personally make it, but this is like guilty pleasure type of shit for me personally, okay? Seriously. So let's get started with the notes, shall we? Top notes of bergamot, there's Kopi Luwak coffee, which is slightly animalic ambery style coffee. There's also black pepper. In the mid, we've got frangipani or frangipani, whatever, man, it's a funny word, okay? Cardamom, and then we've also got ylang ylang, labdanum, and in the base, we've got vetiver, myrrh and frankincense, vanilla, oud siam, and Turkish coffee, and lastly, beeswax. Man, yeah, that shit is good, man. That's the end of the video. I hope you guys enjoyed. No, I'm just playing. But no, it's really good. It's really freaking good. Let's spray this on so I can live through it again. Here we go. Atomizer. Oh, yeah. So the Kopi Luwak, in my experience, isn't a note that's going to be animalic, just straight up like in the term of fecal or barnyardy, but rather what it does is it creates like an earthy undertone. So it smells like coffee and soil. That's basically what it smells like. Considering the fact that it comes from the feces and it's still purified, etc., then they brew the coffee through those beans, okay? Whatever the beans the rodent ate. It doesn't smell that bad, honestly. Trust me, look, I know, I get it. Doesn't sound that good, but it's beautiful. It has like coffee, it's got this earthy soil undertone to it. There's a lot of cardamom in this fragrance. I don't want to look at the notes because I want to tell you guys what I actually get. And what I get is Middle Eastern coffee. A lot of this ambery and rich Turkish coffee. Underneath all of that, I'm getting this animalic oud. Very authentic style, authentic smelling oud. It smells like an oud-based fragrance that's supported with a haze of Turkish coffee. And in the top, and what's really taking the center role, especially for now, is going to be that Kopi Luwak, which is another supporting coffee note. So it's a pretty coffee dominant fragrance. And from the beginning, what you're getting a lot of as well is that Kopi Luwak, obviously. So through and through, it's a pretty coffee dominant fragrance. And it starts off relatively, I don't want to say too animalic. It is pretty animalic, I should say that. It is pretty animalic, but it does have a lot of this earthy accords to it as well. It goes from earthy, starts to get a little bit sweetened, and goes more towards the Middle Eastern coffee of things. The earth nuances starts to drop off, but for the most part, it's still going to be relatively animalic, earthy, and coffee dominant fragrance. Beautiful. And one last detail before I end the review, or what I think about this fragrance, is I get the beautiful part of this fragrance, which is a hefty dose of a natural smelling cardamom. That's what seals the deal for me. If there wasn't something that really, you know, contrasts all of those accords, it probably would have went like a little too flat, too ambery, but that cardamom does help give it a little bit of a kick or a spicy kick, adding some bright, brittle woods nature to the fragrance as well. Rather than just going brown style of earthy, etc., it does contribute a little bit more of a lighter, I don't want to say green, but a lighter brown. It's not just the cardamom, obviously, that's contributing a little bit of a green accord to it as well. It's going to be the vetiver that's in the base, frangipani, ylang ylang, and some labdanum. All of these slightly floral aspects, they don't really take this in a floral realm of things, but it does help create this tropical vibe. It gives it a little bit more of just this resinous, ambery, dark fragrance. Although the labdanum can do exactly that, the frangipani and ylang ylang does give it more of like this Amazonian feel to the whole fragrance. Lastly, the vanilla and beeswax smells pretty natural as well. The beeswax is pretty unique because not only does it give it a natural honeyed sweetness, it also adds another waxy nature to the whole myrrh and frankincense, all of those resins, etc., with a little bit of that sweetness. Overall, a beautiful animalic coffee fragrance with Kopi Luwak, the best Kopi Luwak that I put my nose to so far, and one of the best coffee fragrances in my collection in terms of quality. If you don't like animalic fragrances, this is not going to be for you. These are fragrances for people who know oud, who like oud, who know musks, ambergris, etc. For those people, you're going to absolutely love these fragrances. For those of you who like a more cafe and maybe some coffee sweet fragrances, etc., these might not be for you. And I'm not dogging on you, those smell great. But these are ultra niche, next level stuff. Let's wrap this up with the usual format of giving you guys occasions, some price, and my final thoughts on the house as a whole. As far as occasions go for these fragrances, these are going to be special occasions. I would never recommend something like, well, Cafe Mystique is a little bit more than just special occasions, honestly. This is something I would wear to like a dinner date or something like that, man. Listen, I've gotten some crazy compliments while rocking animalic fragrances. It also has to work for you. It also has to be your tolerance and your experience with different fragrances. For me, that's my home of fragrance, man. I freaking love it. Now, some of these are a little bit more animalic, and for that reason, the occasions start to shrink a little bit. So lesser occasions. These are definitely more animalic. In between Muscateur and Amber Balsam, for me personally, I find that Muscateur is a little bit less polarizing. Although both of these are relatively animalic, this seems like a more mellow and less stand out of a personality than the Amber Balsam, and for that, I would rock this one a little bit more often than just weddings, but for the most part, I would keep that for like weddings, special occasions, if there's a family gathering, if we're going to like, believe it or not, I know I hate to use this as a reference, but funerals, things like that. That's what I would rock, something like that. But that speaks in terms of the caliber of these fragrances. Only the best quality for extremely important events. And lastly, Amber Balsam, this is another one that is very animalic. Florals and the ylang ylang is very prominent and attention grabbing. So this is something I would specifically wear for weddings, etc. The ylang ylang can be off-putting for a lot, but when you learn to live with that fragrance, the ylang ylang combination with similar fragrances that do ylang ylang, maybe some rose, some amber, and oud, they are beautiful in the air. And for that reason, I would reserve Amber Balsam for something of a wedding. The price for all of these fragrances are $220. You can find them on MaksimPerfumes.com. That's pretty much all I have to say about this brand and these fragrances. Excellent fragrances, top-notch, ultra niche quality stuff. And let me know down in the comment section, what is your most animalic fragrance in your collection? It's okay. It could be a cheapie. It could be whatever. It doesn't matter. And I'll see you in the next video. Peace.